The campaign, though, there's all this talk about the Bill Clinton's tactics may have backfired. The campaign here is saying, look, actually, they'd like to say that Barack Obama did this on his own. He tried to run a very similar campaign here that he did in Iowa. He was hoping that the results that he got there in Iowa would do the very same thing here. He was hoping to get the same kinds of voters, not only the young, but the white educated voters. He knew he was going to do well among blacks here, based in large part on how he did in Iowa. So they're very happy with the way not only the campaign went, even though it got nasty this week, they think that it certainly showed that the way they played it this week went to their favor.
All right, Lee Cowan, Columbia, South Carolina. Again, Barack Obama speaks at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time after having been the projected winner of the South Carolina primary.
Projected by a substantial margin. Let's talk about that with NBC News Washington Bureau Chief, the moderator of Meet the Press, Tim Russert. Tim, substantial. It's a substantial word. It means a lot, does it not?
Oh, does it ever, Keith? When Hillary Clinton came back with her stunning victory in New Hampshire, we all said, this is big, this is important. I think we ought to really sit back and reflect on how significant this victory for Obama is tonight. I was just going through some old poll numbers. In November, Hillary Clinton was ahead in South Carolina 45-31. She was the favorite in this state. It's where Bill Clinton won in 1992. The polls leading up to tonight had Obama ahead anywhere from 8 to 14 points. If this victory tonight, if the actual vote matches the exit poll, and he wins this state by 30-some points, it is an enormous victory because he has been able to say, with African Americans supporting him with 81%, and 24% of the white vote, I put together a coalition that can be a winning coalition in South Carolina, and can I take that into Super Tuesday? I think, secondly, he can also say to Bill Clinton, who's been a huge issue in this state, you said you were going to come to South Carolina and go church to church, house to house in the African American neighborhood, and bring those voters with you. And tonight, the evidence seems rather clear. It just didn't work at that level. Now, going into Super Tuesday, what will this mean? How will Barack Obama be perceived? As the candidate who can put together a coalition, or the black candidate taking on white and Latino voters? That's the unknown. My sense is a victory of this magnitude will help him make the case that he's more like the candidate you saw in Iowa and New Hampshire than the one that has been perceived or portrayed in South Carolina this last week.
I'm wondering, Tim, if you see a parallel to what we were talking about when the surprise, at least to the pollsters and to us, occurred in New Hampshire. There was a lot of discussion that what changed that race, or our perception of the race, was apart from the fact that it was so condensed into just that 5-day period between Iowa and New Hampshire, that the other part was that voters perceived Hillary Clinton as having been unfairly wounded there in debates by Senator Obama, but mostly by a collection of forces that were treating her unfairly. Do you think we have seen some of that, in at least as we try to project this margin? Again, the AP used the term rout. We're using the term substantial. Are we seeing something parallel into what has happened with Senator Obama, that those other exit polls, combined what we know about how this actual vote turned out, suggest that a lot of people in South Carolina said this guy got beaten up in places that were outside of the Marquis of Queensberry rules?
Keith, I think that is the best explanation. There is nothing else you can point to. Leading up to tonight, all the polling in the African-American community had been Obama in the high 50s. He now has reached 81. We had him with white South Carolinians in our Mason-Dixon poll at 10%. Tonight it's 24. Something happened in these final few days where collectively people moved in the Obama camp and said, we want to send you out of here with a strong mandate, and we also want to send a message about the tone of the campaign. I think that's going to be an interpretation that both campaigns, I think, will make from here. One will probably do it publicly, the other privately, but I think that will be the lesson of South Carolina.